What's up, YouTube? Happy, what is it, Wednesday? Tuesday? Today's, what is it, Tuesday, Wednesday today? Wednesday. I knew it was Wednesday. What's up, everybody? Dalton coming back at you here tonight. We got a little bit of downtime right now. I thought I would check back in, say hello. Just chilling in the truck right now. Got a little bit of downtime. Waiting for my next load. Two loads completed, one more to go. Who's in the house? Anybody watching tonight? Anybody watching from afar? Just sitting here in this Peterbilt waiting for my next load point. Taking a break. Just had a little bit of little something to eat. Just thought I would see what's going on in the world of YouTube. Anything exciting going on? Anything exciting going on? I've got about another, let's see, I have about another probably half an hour. Got about another half an hour before I need to be to my next load point. Maybe even a little bit longer than that. But just wanted to, had some time. I've got my internet with me. I figured, why not? Why don't I just go live and talk about, what could I talk about? It's the same truck. I'm in the same truck as I was in last night. Oh, that's something else. I had a flat tire. I was doing my pre-trip inspection, and I found a flat tire. One of my inner duals on the tractor was flat. So that has not happened to me before. Haven't had any flat tires to deal with, but I did have one tonight. So I took it into the mechanic shop and they changed it out to a fresh tire. Other than kind of small miscellaneous things I've had with the trucks, just I had a headlight that went out one evening before my shift, and I've also had to change a few taillights out, but nothing major. No major repairs. They replaced the drive shaft on the truck that I drive every day. But other than that, nothing major I have experienced. I did have one road rage incident. Well, it appeared I had one road rage incident. I haven't had any close calls, accidents, or anything like that, but I did have one road rage incident that was pretty crazy. This guy was pulled up beside me and was flipping me off and trying to distract me and get my attention, and eventually he sped away. Let's see what else. Nobody watching tonight. Everybody's busy, as they should be. Oh, that's something else happened. I had a leak. I had a leak in the fifth wheel. I had a water leak from the slide out. A little bit around the slide out, on the very end of the slide out, I had a water leak. A couple of drops of water were coming down. So we had some really hard rain last night. It rained pretty much all night, and so I got up this morning, went outside and took a look at it, and it appeared that there was a small little seam that needs some sealant. So probably tomorrow morning, I think I'm going to get up there and apply a little bit of sealant. But yeah, it's amazing with owning an RV. I mean, having a leak is pretty much inevitable. I mean, it's going to happen. And so I had a little bit of a water leak. Luckily not a major one, and I was able to pull the slide out all the way in. So that helped a lot. We got a few people that just came on. Hey, what's up, Bobby? Hey, Elena, how are you doing? Am I planning to do any more boondocking RV travel? That's a good question. I kind of seem to be leaning right now towards just continuing to keep working. I got a new job assignment offer where I'm working at currently, and I think I'm going to take them up on it to just go back to making money and saving for the next goals and other business opportunities, for right now. But living in the RV, it gives me a lot of options. So if I want to change direction and do something else, I could do something else. So I'm definitely not going to be giving up RV life, living in the RV right now. I'm not. That's not what I'm planning on. But as far as the boondocking, I've got a feeling I may be staying up here in Portland for the winter, and I'm just going to continue to drive. For right now, I'm doing good tonight, Bobby. Yeah, I'm doing good. It's a nice night. It's dry, no rain, and I'm doing good. How are you doing? Wolfman, I'm with you, bro. What are you with me on? Look what I have, Bobby. This is the very first gift that you gave me. Hydro flask. That's right. Hydro flask. It's been a very good piece of equipment. I've used it. I use it every day. I use it every day. It's been one of the best gifts I've ever received. So how about you, Elena? What are your plans? I know I remember you mentioning you were looking at a toy hauler or a fifth wheel. What are your do you have plans to travel, or what attracts you to the lifestyle? Or what are your goals? If you wouldn't mind sharing, or you don't have to share. I'm trying to get my family away from a 9 to 5 and do more country seeing. 9 to 5 is overrated in my opinion. Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear that you want to do some traveling. Do you have a way of earning a living remotely with what you do in your occupation? Yeah, we all start in a 9 to 5. Every one of us starts in a 9 to 5. I think what happens is that people get caught up in the traps of the 9 to 5, consumer debt, mortgages, all these expenses, and it keeps them trapped in a 9 to 5 if that's what they don't desire. There's so many ways to, if you're trying to live simply, there are a lot of ways to do it. And living in a van or an RV, it doesn't, that's one or two ways to do it. I have friends that they live in small spaces. They live in like a small apartment, and they live a simple life. They don't have a lot of expenses. So that there are a lot of ways to do things. I think one of the things that, at least just from my own experience and with the living in an RV and traveling, is that you do have costs. Even if you're boondocking, the expense of fuel, the expense of your time, traveling around, some of the inconveniences, and I'm certainly not saying any of this to be negative. I'm very positive about it. Although I think that when you're out on the road and traveling, you do burn a lot of cash. You do burn a significant amount of cash in comparison to some folks who decide to live more statically, or live in one location, or live in a small paid off house somewhere, maybe in the country, maybe in the city, or a small apartment, or there are a lot of other ways of living your life. I mean, how you want to do it. One of the things that I've had thoughts for a long time is paying cash for a small home in a rural area in USA, or a small town, maybe a town smaller than 10,000 people, or somewhere along there. Paying cash for a home, and then basically eliminating a lot of your expenses. And then, essentially at that point, you could do really whatever you would want to do for as far as for living goes, because you wouldn't have a lot of expenses. So you could literally work any job you would want. You could start start a small business, or a business that you always wanted to start. There are a lot of options. The RVing is certainly one way, but you do, like I said, you do burn a lot of cash. You do burn a lot of cash when you are out traveling around, and you're in the form of fuel, repairs, and that those costs don't go away, and those costs, they fluctuate. The price of fuel, it fluctuates, versus if you lived in a small house or a small dwelling or a small apartment somewhere. In a lot of cases, you may not even need to own a vehicle. I mean, that's taking it to a little bit of an extreme, but you don't have those fuel costs that you would have if you're out traveling around. Obviously, you wouldn't, but it's just another way to. It's a different approach. There are many approaches. Did you take the offer on the jet fuel? I learned about it more today. I haven't accepted it yet. I'm gonna think about it a little bit. I'm probably gonna maybe speak to a few other drivers that do it and just learn a little bit more about it. But yeah, I did learn more about it. So the good news is I can still stay in my camper. So no worries there. Been watching you for years, Wolfman82. Been watching you for years, just now saying something. Hey man, well, it's good to hear from you, man. Whereabouts do you live, and what brings you to my channel? Elena, we just bought a fifth wheel and keeping our truck camper. Oh wow, that sounds exciting. I homeschool my 3 kids. Oh, good for you. And husband is trying to start ups to get away from 9 to 5. UPS to get away from 9 to 5. So far, that's the goal. Okay. That's great. And you homeschool your kids. Yeah, that's great. Well, good for you. Backroads Nomad. Hey, good evening, brother. What's happening? Good to see you again. Good to see you, Backroads Nomad. I did watch your video on the rant video that you did, and I thought it was a great video. And you did have me at the part. I mean, I really agreed with you, and you made an excellent point. And that point you made was that the difference between living versus existing. And I think it's just an undeniable fact that you made in the video, that most people get caught up in just existing and not living. And as I was just talking about before, we all start out in 9 to 5 jobs, but I think that my theory is what happens is people, they get caught up in the traps of that lifestyle, and they become a slave to it instead of, instead of having goals. But that takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of effort to have goals, and it certainly, to break free from the rat race, to break free, earn a side income, a side hustle to replace your income. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of drive. It takes a lot of hard work. And it's still something that myself, I am working on to achieve. But I just wanted to give credit where credit's due, man. I thought you said it perfectly with living versus existing, and it's something that I think about often, man. I think about all the time, and it's actually that point you made. I have experienced it. I've experienced living, and I've experienced existing. I mean, and I think that until going out and being a nomad and kind of living, that's one way to do it. But yes, you really do feel like you're living. I feel when you have some control over your time. But there's many ways that it can be approached. But I totally agree with you about that living versus existing, and it's such a huge thing that affects all of us, and I think that there's people that we perceive that are hugely successful in life, and I think that some of them are caught up in the existing trap and not living trap, because they there's a lot of maintenance that is involved in keeping some of those lives going. And I'm not at all I'm not at all stabbing in anybody. I'm just making a something that I kind of see and I feel at times. Life is always changing. We're always, the goals are always ever changing. But that's that hourglass of time, the sand going through the hourglass. It's pouring through that hourglass, right? Let me hear what you guys have to say. I've been rambling on too much. Finney Woods of East Texas. Okay, that's cool, man. I've never been to Texas. On my list of places to go. When there isn't a tornado, when there isn't hailstorms. I'm pretty spoiled living up here in the Northwest, man. It's like we don't have to deal with a lot of the natural disasters that folks who live in the southern states have to endure. Too many existing and not living. Absolutely. Totally get it and totally agree. Totally agree. There's just lots of traps. A great book that I read recently called How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World by Harry Brown. And the book just discusses a lot of traps that you can easily fall into to prevent you from living. Pine trees. Nine 9:20 right now. Elena, I am in Minnesota. Too cold here, but very inexpensive to live. You can buy a lot of house here. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's another way to go. I mean, a lot of people, including myself, there's a lot of small towns in America that are very affordable. The question is would you want to live there, or maybe live there certain months of the year? I'm always fascinated. I often look. I go on to Zillow and I look for real estate for sale, and I'm always fascinated by being able to buy a home for say $65,000, like a single family stick-built home in places like maybe Indiana or somewhere in the Midwest or Iowa. Or I'm always fascinated by that. I think it would be cool to own be able to buy a place, buy a small place somewhere and own it outright. The nice part, one of the advantages that I see in owning a home is that if you do get the travel bug and you want to travel, you for maybe 3-5 years or however long, you could rent. If you owned your house, you could rent it out. You could rent it out for income while you go and travel. So I see that as like a real win-win. And then if you get tired of traveling, you could just come back home and go back into your house and kick your renter out and go back to living however you want to live. But yeah, I've always been intrigued with that idea. The RV lifestyle, I've met a few people that have been doing it for like longer than 10 years, but I haven't met a lot of people. The overall consensus seems that a lot of people like doing it for a number of years, and then a lot of people reach a point where they either get tired of it or their health, there's some kind of a crisis with their health or finances or what have you that leads them to go another direction. Too many societal traps holding us down. Yes, there are many, and there are many that we unknowingly choose. we unknowingly choose. But yeah. Hey, Griffle Days, what's going on, my brother? What'd you miss? Not really too much, man. Not too much. No conspiracies. I'm not going to do any more conspiracies here on this live stream. No more Federal Reserve talks or anything like that. Unless you guys have some really good solutions to come. If you guys have some solutions, I'll be opening to hear. But until that point, I don't want to talk about any of that stuff. Sahara. Yeah, I think I'm only going to be on for probably another 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going to have to go. Got to get back to work. I'm just, I'm in my waiting period right now until I go and get my next load. I load a couple of tanks, and there's level indicators. They give you a number. It tells you the amount of the level, and when it reaches a certain level in numbers, then I go and pick up another load. So I'm just in my waiting time right now. Into the Mystery 13 Jed and EV Nova have gotten off the road and went back to Suedo's Sticks and Bricks. Oh, okay, I was wondering what happened to them. He hasn't been publishing any content for a while. A camp trailer parked in a yard. Yeah, I know. Last I heard, they were he was in San Diego, I think, or San Diego. But yeah, it's, we all, yeah, that's great. It's like, I respect, people who do whatever they have to do to make it work, to make it work for them. And, I think that there's nothing wrong with traveling for a couple of years or a couple of months and then, going back to work again if you have to, or, I don't see anything, wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with people who, give it up and leave. And, I don't really see anything wrong with any of it. It's just, and, as people, our goals, I feel change, often. And what was once our goal 3 years ago may not be the goal now. Our goal now may have changed, and that also factors into it as well. I feel, speaking from my own experience. I remember the first time I took off in my truck camper, man. I'll never forget how it felt when I took off my truck camper and I left, and man, it was the coolest feeling in the world. I was like, damn, this is great, man. I felt free. And it was exciting, man. Like, that was a really fun time in my life, because it was just like, I was just really in a real like happy place. But I've also kind of like lived it out there for a while, and months on end, and it's all good, man. Life is just lots of experiences. To me, it's just lots and lots of experiences. Fill up your buckets. You ever miss your truck camper living? So, sometimes I do. The fifth wheel just gives me so much more space and storage for full-time living, but I do miss the trips that I used to take. And I used to go, way into the backcountry, and I've been some crazy places, guys. I remember, I took my truck camper. I was up in Northern California on some expedition, like, not really knowing where the hell I was going, but I just decided, in my Explorer, if I was around like back, like Lewis and Clark days, I probably would have been an Explorer back in those days. But I've been places, I've been, off road. I've been places with a truck camper that I really had no business going. Okay, but I miss that. I miss like just kind of taking off and going places like that, and taking essentially some risks, because if I had a breakdown, it would be bad news. I've been in some places that if I had a breakdown, it would have been bad, because I didn't have very much cell service. I would have just, what did we do when we didn't have cell phones, right? We would get out and talk to people, right? Hey, I need some help, I mean, like, that's what you do. It's not like the end of the world because you don't have cell service. And I got a buddy of mine who rides a motorcycle, Mike, and he's been talking about wanting to go down to South America on a motorcycle trip, and I find that fascinating. Like, I think it would be a lot of fun. It'd be one hell of an adventure, and it would be risks. It would be a lot of things. But yeah. Smoothbore tanker for baffles. This tanker doesn't have baffles inside. Well, it might have on the lower part of it. I've never crawled inside this tank, so I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't really know how it is, but I'll tell you, driving it, man, it handles fine. You just got to be careful, cautious when you're going around the curves, and you should be doing probably, at least if you're loaded, 5 miles per hour under the posted speed limit. And that's typically what I do. I drive on the safe side. I don't, I just try to drive as safe as I possibly. It's just as safe as I can. I mean, within my comfort level. I'm not trying to like, break any records or anything. There are a few nomads that have become static. Deborah Joy, a city nomad, Caravan Carolyn, just to name a few, as long as it works for them. Yeah. And it's all good, man. I mean, it's all good, man or woman. I mean, like, it's all good. There's a lot of people that yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Whatever you need to do to feed your spirit and your soul, and experience the things that you want to do, and find that passion in your life. And I know for me personally, I'm an outdoors person, so I just find a lot of joy in being in the outdoors, and just enjoying all of its beauty and nature. And so that gives me a lot of fulfillment. Other people don't find a lot of joy and fulfillment in that. And then some people they don't like camping, and they don't like not going without a shower for a couple of days, and and like I was reiterating to it before. I mean, there are a lot of inconveniences with living the just as there are with anything, there are a lot of inconveniences. I had mentioned about, you're burning a lot of cash driving around, buying gas, and your time and everything. But yeah, it's all good. It's not perfect. It isn't perfect. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfect. There are some days some days I should say that, sometimes I think maybe I should just do like what Dick Pernicke did, and go up to Alaska and buy some land and build my own cabin and live off the land and hunt and fish. I mean, that's a hard life, man, but I personally think very, very sustainable if you have the skill set. And you are going to need you will need money, you will need financing, you will need to get supplies. That's taking it probably a little extreme, but I'm always just kind of like, sometimes I do from time to time think about that. I think about, what if I just did that? What if I just did that? But mind you, Dick Pernicke, when he went up there, he was retired. He had a pension, or he was set financially. He wasn't like struggling when he did go up there, to my knowledge. And he also had a lot of skills under his belt, a lot of skills. He knew how to hunt, he knew how to build things. He was like a diesel mechanic or whatever. And so it was not like he just kind of like had this dream or whatever and just went up there and figured it all out. I mean, he had a lot to figure out, but he had some knowledge, some basic, and he had some really good skill sets. But nonetheless, it's just another story that sometimes I think about it. What was the make and the model of the truck camper? It was a 2014 Northern Light 10-foot-2 special edition. Yeah, so far tanks have been good. I really like it. I really like it a lot. I haven't done too much other type trucking. I mean, I've done construction type trucking work, dump truck hauling, rock and asphalt, but I haven't like hauled freight or anything. The tanker work I like because you're not making like a lot of stops. So and then you also have some waiting time. You've got some downtime that you can rest, relax a little bit. Tanker work is not like go and you got to be here on this time and this time, and it isn't like that. And then there's also a lot of flexibility in your scheduling too that I really like with what I do. I mean, I don't have to start at this time. I can start kind of when I want, work it within my schedule, but it just gives you a lot of flexibility. And then also within the tanker niche, there are a lot of other there are many different types of tanker jobs you can go for. You can haul chemicals, you can haul acid, and it all pays really well. Jet fuel, avgas, station fuel, food. You can haul food grade. If you don't want to haul chemicals and hazmat, you can haul food, like food grade things, food grade products. So there's quite a lot of options. Well, guys, I'm going to have to hang it up and let go. I'm going to have to carry on here, and I got to get back to work. So it's been fun chatting with you all this evening. You guys all have a great night, and I will talk to you guys again maybe tomorrow night. We'll see. All right, guys, have a good night. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.